Sports fans, welcome back to my channel. Okay, let's get into this one. I ain't got time for this. I had so many videos to make. I did not want to make this video, and I don't clap back at YouTubers. It's a lot of YouTubers that, I just can't stand or be bothered with, and stuff like that. But I don't say nothing. Now, let's talk about JxmyHighRoller, JimxyLowRoller, okay? First of all, I'm going to be honest with you. I used to watch his videos. His videos were pretty good, okay? Until, he started coming out with this LeBron and Jordan debate. Nothing wrong with that, right? And then all of a sudden, he just kept creeping LeBron closer and closer and closer. Because at first, he said LeBron wasn't even even close to Michael Jordan. Even, in what, a few years ago, or was it 5 years ago? I forget what it was, but he already pretty much had all his accomplishments, the 4 championships, the 4 MVPs, all this stuff. So nothing really had changed in LeBron's career, right? And I think it was before he even got to 30,000 points, he started creeping LeBron up to Michael Jordan. And if I'm not mistaken, one video, I think he had him past Michael Jordan. I could be wrong, but the video that made me mad is when he put LeBron so close to Jordan. The evidence just wasn't there. It just wasn't there. And, I was just done with this guy. So, to me, this guy is nothing but a voice. He doesn't know NBA basketball. He doesn't know the history. He's just a voice. Let me give it to you again. He's just a voice. A lot of these guys on YouTube, they're just voices. They don't do any editing. They don't do any anything but talk. The guy's got a good voice. Okay, if you got a good voice, if you look good on social media, all this stuff, you can make money. Right? So I'm not hating on him on that, but he's just a voice. He doesn't know nothing about sports. And a lot of these people on YouTube, they are just voices. They don't care about the game. They probably never played the game. Nothing. They probably never played sports. So let's get into this. And it wasn't just a LeBron debate that made me, Jordan versus LeBron debate. He started saying a whole bunch of other crazy stuff. And that's how it is in this era. These guys have made millions lying, straight lying. Even the old heads lying. This world is getting nuts. You can't just stand up on what you did. Now you got to tear down other eras and you got to lie. The Nick Wrights, the Shannon Sharps. That's when it became famous. Let's just lie. And we can make millions of dollars off of something that the younger generation, they never seen. So we can just lie to them. And most of them ain't going to go back and watch full games. Now, this guy was born in 1994. And he started his YouTube channel in 2007. He was doing track and field, high school basketball. Then later he shot up to the NBA. Whatever. Okay. You can see already he didn't have enough experience to go straight to the NBA basketball. He was all off in high school, doing high school ball. He don't know nothing about the NBA. And the NBA in 2007 was totally different. Totally different, right? Let's get to the point to where this guy is just trashing the 90s. And I was kind of shocked. You know what I'm saying? I seen this video come across my YouTube feed, his video. And like I said, I stopped watching his videos when he started saying all this stuff about LeBron was this close to Michael Jordan. I thought in one video, I think he said he passed him. I'm not sure. But he for sure said he was that close with no evidence. He was just making up stuff like longevity stats and just nonsense, right? So I stopped watching them. I'm done with the 90s. Came across my feed yesterday. And I really didn't even think to watch it because I was done with him. And it had an X on Michael Jordan's face. And I thought he was just playing or whatever like that. I thought he was doing a rebuttal to all these fools that's been saying they're done with the 90s. Right? So this morning, Sports and Fitness Rants, boom, he's talking about it. He said that other channels talked about it. And the more that sports and fitness ranted, and he had every right, it just blew my top. Because sports and fitness rant said he didn't even watch the guy's whole video. So I said, well, let me go watch his video. And I was like, what? I couldn't watch his whole video. Because what he does is, if you want to compare eras, remember, he says this era compared to the 90s. Remember, he doesn't say the 2000s or the 2010s. He says this era compared to the 90s. First of all, you got to put up your case for this era. You got to be putting up their blooper reels and what they couldn't do that the 90s could do. Nope, he just shamed the 90s, right? So how do you compare that? So you're trying to say this is the most skilled era of all time, right? This ain't LeBron era. Let's remember this. He's just playing in this era. This is not LeBron's era. He's 39 years old. So evidently the 2010s was weak. The 2000s was weak. Right? If he's saying this is the most skilled era of all time, right? And we'll get deeper into that. So let's understand this. And then he bashed on the 80s and stuff. Go watch his video. He talked bad about the 80s and all this stuff, showing little clips. And in the beginning, he was telling people, don't just take people's word for it. You need to go back and watch clips of past eras. And that ain't what you need to do. You need to watch games. Go watch entire games of past eras, not clips. Don't ever do that. Because you can find bad clips of every era, especially this one, right? Every era played a different style of ball. I don't think there's really no evolution if you're playing a different style, right? I just don't think so, right? So let's get down to it. The 90s players learned from the 80s, right? They was watching them play. Blah, blah, blah. Maybe the shoes got better. They got more athletic. They got better trainers, better supplements, and stuff like that. The travel was better. So, of course, they got a little bit more athletic. The 2000s players, they learned from the 90s players. This is who the 2000 players, they watched the 90s players, right? And so on and so on. The 2010s players watch the 2000s players. That's just how it was. And everybody got something from everybody. That's why so many dudes is launching threes in the 2020s, because they start seeing it in the 210s, right? This is just your game. You wasn't more so-called athletic, per se. And if you was, it was just because of different science, medicine. But if you put those same guys today, back in the 60s, they're not better. Put Curry, I guess this is Curry's era, whatever. You put Trae Young, you put Luka Doncic, you put Joker. Put these guys back in the 1960s with the same stuff. Same shoes, same travel, same medicine, same doctors. Where are they at? Where are they at? Let me ask you a question real quick. I did a post. I did a video. We done with the 90s. Right? And we talking about the most skill guys of this era. And we look at turnovers per game, right? Where these guys come from? That's in the top, I think I did top 19. If I'm not mistaken, I want to say 16, maybe 15 turnovers per game are the players from the 2000s, 2010s, and 2020s. 16, I'll be nice. Maybe 15. No. Maybe 14 of 20 came from that era. And these guys are more skilled. And they got the luxury to palm, carry, and travel and get away with it all game while even fans are screaming. That's a travel. That's a carry. That's a palm right in front of the referee. I literally seen guys pick the ball up and walk 4 steps right there in front of the referee. More skilled. Okay, how come the world has came and taken over this era? We had international players in the 90s, but they could not, and they were skilled. They were good players, but they could not come over and the majority of the world come take over the NBA. 2005, we know what happened. No hand checking. No elbows in the back in the post. None of this. That's what they said in the offseason in 2005 for the new NBA rules. What happens? Suddenly, LeBron makes the NBA playoffs the next season. Their king makes the playoffs. Remember, the year before, his second season, he had an all-star teammate, Ilgauskas. He trash, bro. I guess so, right? I mean, you guys got to remember, they still had big men back then. It was still centers and power forwards. No, they weren't as good as the 90s. But it was still position basketball. That's when LeBron played and came into the league from 2003 when he came in all the way until Curry ruined it, right? In about 15, 16, it was still position basketball. So this is what they do, right? Once they lost in the Olympics in 2004, man, LeBron couldn't get in the game, man. You know what he was for that season, his rookie season? He shot 41% from the paint. I mean, from the field. As a forward, I mean, is that impossible? And took like 70% of his shots in the paint. How horrible was that? Minus 144 for the regular season. Wasn't an all-star. The biggest thing coming into the league since Michael Jordan. Missed the playoffs. So they just skip past Bird. They skip past Magic. They skip past Wilt. They skip past all these people, Oscar Robertson, and they went straight to Jordan as LeBron being the biggest thing coming into the league, right? And still yet LeBron couldn't do what Bird, Magic, Wilt, Russell, all these other guys did when they came in the league. I never even heard of that, right? A minus 144. Kobe wasn't. Carmelo Anthony wasn't. And he came in the same year as LeBron. And LeBron won the Rookie of the Year for this? So, yeah. So, LeBron makes the playoffs. Once they changed the defensive rules, and I'm going to tell you what, it didn't really fully change right away. Because the dummies is going to say, oh, man, I can show you they was hand checking. They were No, they didn't. It didn't change all the way. But what it meant now is that can be called a lot in the playoffs. Or, you know, the referee could just be like, maybe he would have some money on it back in the game, back in the day. Who knows? And just call that call sometimes, and then he don't call it the other time. So we already know once we got to about, I don't know, about 2009, 10, they was calling it all the time, right? So, but let's rewind. LeBron goes to the FIBA, right? In 2006 and poops all over himself, gets beat by sewer workers from Greece. These aren't NBA players. This was in a silver medal round where they couldn't even get the silver. They didn't even qualify to be in the gold round. The 04 Olympics, 06 FIBA, 99.9% of those international players was not on the NBA roster. And yet LeBron and the LeBron era guys got bronze medals. Got bronze medals. When did the world catch up to us? Manu Ginobili won the gold medal with a bunch of nobodies on his roster in Argentina. So these can't be the most skilled guys of all time, the most skilled era, right? The LeBron guys, the Chris Pauls, the the Chris Bosches, the Dwayne Wades, all Carmelo Anthony, all those guys that were on the FIBA 06 and 04 Olympics. Are we talking about these are the most skilled? And those guys went on to play in their peak in the 210s. So let's go to this era right here, the 2020s. This isn't LeBron's era. These are the most skilled players, right? Let's see what they do. Four players, offensive players, four offensive players. We've never even seen this before, because even when Curry brought this three-point shooting in, it was just him and Clay. It wasn't four guys on the Warriors sitting at the three-point line. They were still pretty much playing half-court basketball. They passed the ball, fundamentals. You had centers. You had power forwards. The only people that was shooting was Clay and Curry, shooting the three. Today, everybody is shooting the three. So this is what you got. Four guys sitting at the three-point line. Now, mind you, they can carry, travel, they can do whatever they want and get away with it. And in this guy's video, he said that, oh, you couldn't do all this stuff back in the 80s, in the 90s. You couldn't do these hezzies in 3 steps. How 3 steps is traveling. He said they were limited from doing that stuff because of the rules. The rules, you can only take 2 steps after you pick up your dribble. They literally got blooper highlights for days of LeBron traveling right in front of the officials, taking 4 steps, carrying, palming, his whole career. It's a joke. If this your superstar, the face of your league, is doing this, and it's pretty sad. This guy is still the face of the league after 21 seasons. This is how bad this era is. It's awful. So let's get back down to business. 4 guys, offensive guys, sitting at the three-point line. 4. So now you got 4 defenders sitting at the three-point line. 1 guy in the middle, which is usually the center. There's nobody in the lane. Nobody. Nobody. 95% of the time. What happens next? And this is not nothing brilliant. This is what every team runs now. Maybe Denver does it a little bit different sometimes. They play more of a half-court style, more X's and O's. But this is what the majority of the teams play. The 90s and the 80s, everybody played their own type of style. It might not look like it, but they actually had their own style. And they played fundamental basketball. Everybody played a position and had a skill for every position. There's no position here. 4 guys sitting at the 3. Your power forward, your forward, your guard, and your point guard. Only your point guard and your guard is supposed to be at the top of the key or at the three-point line. In case the ball gets kicked out and he's wide open. Let's get back into it. So you got 4 guys sitting at the three-point line, right? 1 guy with the ball at the three-point line, and this happens just about every play. Like I said, these aren't even real coaches. these aren't even real. You can't even coach this. This is easy. A 7-year-old can coach this game, right? The guy with the ball that's at the top of the key, at the three-point line, he starts to go in the lane with the ball. His guy is defending him. For some reason, one of the defenders at the three-point line, he collapses and tries to cover the guy that's driving in the lane. Leaves a guy open now at the three-point line. So the guy that's driving, if he beats both of those defenders on the double team, he'll just try to score. If not, he'll just kick it back out to the wide open guy. Now another defender at the three-point line has to run over to him that's wide open, and he has to make a decision. Am I going to get this off in time? Or is that other defender going to make it to me in time? To where I have to throw the ball now to the other guy that's open. If you want to play this style of basketball, fine. But it's not more skilled. I'm trying to tell you, anybody can play this type of basketball. Anybody just coming off the street, it's not basketball. It's a made-up game, right? So these guys don't have to have fundamentals and X's and O's of the game. The forward doesn't have to stretch the floor all the way to the three-point line. The power forward doesn't have to have certain skills on the block or be a real defender. The center doesn't have to have any skills as a real center. The point guard really doesn't have to run the floor and be a floor general. And the shooting guard really doesn't have to be a real shooting guard. All these guys got the same job. Could you imagine you go to a workplace and you go there for the first time and you get the job and everybody has the same job? How the hell is that company going to be successful? All these guys have the same job. Sit at the three-point line. Could you imagine 80s and 90s players saying, hey, you guys just camp out at the three-point line and it's going to be one big inside? Huh? Bro, you're going to make $50 million a year. What? And if you're trying to tell me right now that Joker, a dude who can barely go watch these games. That's why Denver plays half-court game, a half-court game more than any team in the league, right? Shoots the least amount of threes. You're trying to tell me a guy named Joker who can barely get up and down the court? You're trying to tell me 90 Shaq, Hakeem, David Robinson, Patrick Ewing, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Wilt Chamberlain, Bill Russell could not play in this era. And you know what you're going to tell me? Oh, they can't shoot the three. Joker really don't shoot that many threes. What, he average like one a game? He doesn't have a high three-point percentage. Joel Embiid is a big dude. Big clunky. I done seen way more dudes, way more centers more athletic than him. He could shoot the three. Let me tell you something. I've already said this in a post. If you're an idiot to sit out there and shoot the three when there's nobody in there to stop you, that's the idiotic stuff you want to do. Because LeBron has been getting off on this. 27 points per game the last 4 years because there's nobody in the paint to stop him. Right? He's not a great shooter. Oh, yeah, he's shooting 40% this year. Go check out last year, the year before that, the year before that, and the year before that. And if you go watch my 6 finals blowout losses of LeBron's, the video I just put out today, guess what? This is what they're trying to do. They're trying to make sure they say this is the greatest shooting era of all time because LeBron is playing, right? And Curry ushered this in about 2016. Again, nobody was playing like they are today. It was just the Splash Brothers sitting out there hitting their threes. It wasn't the whole league, right? So when we go watch that video, I'm going to go ahead and be a spoiler on it, right? In all 6 finals blowout losses of LeBron James, he never even got a game 7. Not only that, like I said, they're trying to make it look like that era, the 2000s, the 2010s, all ran concurrent with this era, and they had the same style of play. No, they didn't. They were still playing half-court basketball. Yes, it was less defensive because they got rid of the defensive rules, but they were still playing position basketball. Forwards, power forwards, centers, point guards, guards, everybody did what their position was, right? So when we look at 07, when LeBron got humiliated in the NBA Finals, who beat him? It was the Spurs. They wasn't a crazy three-point shooting team. Pass the ball around. Fundamentals, X's and O's, position basketball. 2011, the Mavs wasn't a crazy three-point shoot. They didn't have 4 guys at the three-point line, right? Fundamentals, X's and O's, they play position basketball. Same thing in 2014 when they blew out LeBron again. Couldn't get a game 7. 2015, here comes you know who. You know who? The Warriors. First time in the finals. The Splash Brothers was starting to wake up the league, but they were still playing position, basketball, fundamentals, passing the ball around the entire court. Half-court game. Wasn't no 4 guys sitting at the three-point line. And so in 2017, 18, even when they got Durant, it wasn't 4 guys sitting at the three-point line. They were still playing position basketball. This all started in about 2020. We could just sit at the three-point line, have no fundamentals, make it a positionless basketball game, and overcharge the fans for doing less. Another question. Who's in the all-time top 5? And will they ever be replaced, right? Magic, no, in no particular order, right? It's always Magic, Kareem, Jordan, Wilt, and LeBron. And they switch these guys around. Well, from what I've seen from Sports Illustrated, ESPN, all these different, I forget all the names. I done seen like 6 of them. And it's that combination right there. Unless LeBron gets caught with steroids, that top 5 is going to stay the same. It might be one guy that's interchangeable. That's fine. And then you go to the top 10. you got Bird. You got Tim Duncan. You got Akeem Olajuwon. All these type of guys came out the 80s and 90s. Even your Tim Duncans, your Kobe Bryant that's in there, your Shaq. The top 10 either comes out the 60s, the 80s, or the 90s. Kareem is an exception. He came out the 70s, right? So when you look at Kobe and Duncan, their games is built off of the 90s. That's why they were so successful. They had to play 90s competition, right? That's why they were so successful. And that's why, they did a three-peat, Shaq and Kobe. Look at the competition they was playing in the 90s. And they was getting their butts kicked. So by the time they start winning, they was like, this ain't nothing. Same thing with Jordan. By the time he got out of the 80s, he was like, ain't nobody gonna whoop up on me, right? After I played that competition of the 80s. That's how it went. JxmyHighRoller is full of crap. We never start talking mess about any era before these guys start talking stuff about the 80s, the 90s, and past eras, only to boost up LeBron. And now they're trying to boost up the 2020s, which is trash. It's not even basketball. It's just some game that they made up, and they're shooting more threes. And they say, oh, they can hit the three ball. That's all you're doing, though. There's nothing else to do. Your percentage is like 1 or 2% better than the 80s and 90s. And it should be way more because you're shooting like 30 more a game per team. What are we talking about? The product speaks for itself. Nobody watches it. All-time low ratings in the finals. LeBron done chased half the fan base away. They got women announcing games from the WNBA. No hate. They got WNBA women, playing in the All-Star weekend. You're trying to tell me these guys are more skilled and the game has evolved? You don't even have position basketball. This is like playing flag football. They don't get in the post and grind. They say they don't even practice. And then they get hurt in big games because they don't practice. JxmyHighRoller, low roller is trash. I'm trying to tell you. He's just trying to make money like all these other people because the cool thing now is to lie to make money. And Nick Wright, Shannon Sharp brought this about with ESPN and Fox Sports to lie. To lie. And tell half-truths. So you guys tell me what you think. Go watch his video. He's trash. He trashed the 90s and kept saying, oh, I'm not trying to say nothing bad about him. Get out of here.